We usually do this view. I'm usually on this side. Too much
Fancy.
sun coming in from the window, which is like I can't get enough light on the other side.
I
But
have
your
the,
light.
I'm like hiding in the corner of a bathroom.
Oh, is it a bathroom?
It
I
is.
wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. But I have a lot of light over here if I look that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super nice. So I said we could chit chat a little bit, but we can also just go ahead and do the intro. So I should have my notes over here. So I'm looking at you and not looking away. So, okay, I'm going to just check our little. The brand is set to slow and steady. Yes. The Twitter is at a destination. Yes. We're recording. You said record audio only. Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
we're good.
Because it's like, Benedict isn't here. I was just telling Geoff that Benedict like usually does all of the setup. And I'm just like, I just show up. So hopefully I got it all right. And afterwards I'll need to remember to download and upload to the appropriate place so it can be edited and all of that. And yeah, so when we end, you have to stay on for the
Okay.
uploading to finish. Yeah. Um, it's usually pretty fast, depending on, I don't know, if you're on 4G or if you have like broadband where you're at.
It should be pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do it. Let's find my intro here. Yes. Okay. Well, we're already recording. I was like, oh, let's press record. We're already recording. Okay. Intro. Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicta. Today is August 22nd, and this is episode number 187. And I'm feeling excited because I'm joined by Geoff Roberts, marketing co-founder of Outsera, and also, as of April, my colleague 2 days a week. And today we're chatting about marketing. But first, how are you feeling, Geoff?
I am feeling pretty good. I have a feeling that I'm sort of at the end of something and a new beginning on the horizon. I've been traveling for the last 4 months, and I'm going to be traveling for 2 more months. But on Friday, I leave Europe and head back to North America, and it feels like the end of a chapter, sort of. So I'm a little sad about that, but excited for what comes next too.
So, what countries did you hit while you were in Europe?
Greece, Sweden, and Scotland.
That is diverse. Like that is diverse set of countries.
Absolutely, yeah. A little bit of everything. They couldn't be more different culturally, let me tell you.
Give me like one example. I read that you love the cinnamon buns in Sweden, the kanelbollene. We
Very
have
good.
those in Norway as well. So yeah, we got it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think in general, just going from Greece to Sweden was sort of a shock to the system. I've been telling people like every conversation that I heard between Greek people was sort of combative and loud. And you go to Sweden and everyone's very quiet and polite. And it was like polar opposite in terms of just the interactions between people.
How's Scotland?
Scotland's great. It's very, very beautiful. I love it in that sense. Certainly, it's rainy. I mean, we've had a lot of rain since we've been here, and I have two little kids that are trapped in the house when it rains, so that part's tough. But it's just a beautiful country, and it makes you feel good about the world. It's like still wild and untouched, and it's good. I like it.
You got to take a page out of Norwegian, like the Norwegian playbook, which is there is no bad weather, only bad clothes. Det finnes ikke dårlig vær, bare dårlige klær, which is one of
Yeah,
our sayings. And that's what we tell kids when they say, I don't want to go
sure.
outside when it's raining. It's like,
That makes total sense. There's like no fashion in Scotland. Everything is just very practical clothing, and everyone is dressed for all weather at all times. And my family coming from Greece, where we were wearing bathing suits for 3 months, showed up completely ill prepared and basically had to buy a new wardrobe to insulate us from the rain.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing here. My sister, who grew up in England, though, where they just pretend they don't have bad weather. I don't know what's up with that, but she always laughs at me because I will travel nowhere without my woolen layer. Like there's
Right.
always a woolen layer with me wherever I go, and I've had good use of it. Like traveled India, and we went to see the sunrise in Himalaya, and it's cold.
Yep.
Put
Sure.
on my wool layer underneath the summer dress and you're all good to go. So yeah, but that's not what we're talking about today, even though Europe is a fun topic since I live here. Anyway, I saw on Twitter that you're planning to do marketing experiments for Atzera this fall, and I would love to hear more about them or
Yeah,
what you're planning.
I would say the short version is I should have been doing a lot more marketing experiments over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. But you know, like a lot of founders, I've been sort of sucked into helping the business wherever it needs help. And over the last few years, for me, that's been a lot of product management and a lot of customer success, customer support. So marketing has been more of an afterthought than it probably should have been. And I feel like we're at the point now where we have good conversion rates. We've got a steady customer base. We're sort of ready to go faster. So I've been spending much of this summer trying to clear my plate a little bit. We've brought on some help and support to help ease that burden. And I'm excited to get back to what is sort of my primary skill, what I'm supposed to bring to the team, which is marketing expertise. So I've just been thinking through kind of what comes next. How do we accelerate everything from a growth perspective? And as part of that, what you alluded to, I'm going to be publishing sort of a website where I talk about what I'm working on, what the strategy is, sharing results and all that kind of stuff, just because I think that content will be interesting to other SaaS founders. I lost your audio.
Sorry, I had
No
muted
worries.
myself.
Okay.
So you're saying even though you have a marketing founder on board, which is like everybody's dream, all the like the tech indie founders, you're saying they might not always have time for marketing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, you know, you hear so much about you should delegate this, you should delegate that. And I think that advice is always coming from a good place. But if you're a bootstrap business, you can only delegate once you can afford to delegate. So with our growth, we've all worn lots of hats because that's what we've had to do to get the business to where it is today. And we're at the point now where we are doing a little bit better, can bring some people on to help with support. And ultimately there is an opportunity cost to not having the marketing founder focused on marketing. You're not going to grow as fast and be able to make those sorts of investments in other areas of the business that you want to. So we had to be pretty deliberate about, bringing on additional help and finding a way to free up a little bit more of my time to focus on this stuff.
And for, longtime listeners, I think a lot of the push to getting some more support help came after some long discussions with Jane and Benedict of Userlist when we all met in Athens. So full circle here on Slow and Steady.
Yes.
Because I didn't say this in the introduction, but those who are wondering where Benedict is, he is on vacation, which is well deserved because he never really takes any long vacations. I'm very happy for him. But what's your top 3 experiments you want to run, or do you have some thoughts, some ideas?
I've got a few. So the first thing, whenever I've sort of sat down and said, okay, it's time to make a deliberate marketing push beyond just kind of the day-to-day work that is marketing, the first place my mind always goes is let's clean out the gutters. And what I mean by that is let's make sure sort of all the plumbing through which we acquire customers is clear and working as efficiently as possible. So the very first track of work, and something we've sort of already started on, at least in a minor way, is really just having myself, you, our design lead, James, and then some customers go through the sign up and onboarding process for Atzera and make notes, what's working, what's not, where are people getting stuck, what could just be a smoother workflow to get people through sign up and onboarding. And I think the reason to start there is just it's one of those things that it's one of the only things that affects every marketing channel. If you can make even incremental improvements in that whole user experience around sign up and onboarding, it's going to make every channel perform better. So that's kind of the first task. The second one is the one that I'm most excited about. And that is, we've had a lot of really awesome people that have wanted to contribute to Outseta in some way. So much so we don't have opportunities to give to all of them. Again, it's like, we've got to grow this thing in order to be able to hire all these talented people that want to work on our project, which is a great problem to have. But a lot of them have come back and said, we're not looking to join your team full time. We're not looking for crazy compensation. We just like either the idea that you're working on or the model that you use to run the company, and we want to participate in some way. And we heard this from like 1 or 2 people, then 3 or 4, then 5 or 6, and really high caliber people. And I just said to myself, like, we're sitting on an amazing opportunity that we're not taking advantage of. So the sort of second project is going to be, how do we take these people, give them something relevant to Outseta that we actually need to get done, that we actually think is a good opportunity for the business, that we haven't prioritized ourselves or just don't have time to get to yet, and sort of match these people with projects in a way that, they're excited to contribute to Outseta and we're getting something out of it too. And I think the other fun thing about this model is not only getting to start to work with some of these people, but we can give them projects that are sort of risky, that have high potential upside. And if they don't work out, so be it. Mm-hmm. So we've got 3 or 4 people already who I think are a great fit for these types of projects, and figuring out how we can sort of systemize this whole thing, I guess, is the next step. So we've talked about, like, do we have a contributor of the month or a creator of the month that works with us on a given project each month, and we just open up one opportunity a month or something like that.
I like that, creator of the month. That's kind of cool. And if we need more spacing, it could be creator of the quarter.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I would love to get to the I would like to do like quarterly cohorts eventually, where we just say, like, here's 2 or 5 people that are working on these projects this quarter, and then we're going to have sort of another batch next quarter. And certainly the objective there is to build a pool of people that we would eventually hire onto our team. But from a marketing perspective, I guess it's just a matter of here are new people that want to contribute and sort of help get Outseta out there. And I think having more talented voices interested in that is always a good thing.
And then whatever outcome from that, now I'm thinking, because I like to live stream, which listeners know I haven't done it in a while. But then it could be like live streaming with them, helping them get set up. So if they're gonna create, for instance, like a project showcasing Laravel plus Outseta, we could do a live stream where you and I kind of come on and answer questions and help them get up to speed faster. In addition to what we are working on, which is these template businesses that we're going to have with their own design and their own brand and marketing, that we're going to be able to set up in different languages and different tools and different technologies, I guess, is the point.
Yep. So that's number 3. That's a perfect segue.
That's number 3. Okay.
Number 3, I would say, is the way that I've started thinking about this, and we talked about it a little bit last night, but is we need to build sort of a content factory at Outseta. And the transition that I would describe is, we've done a lot of content marketing in the past. Most of it has just been me as the founder writing about our entrepreneurial experience. And then when it's come to creating like tutorial focused content, most of it has been really bad. It's been me just doing like screen recordings with really low level polish. And I think that was appropriate for our stage. Like in an early stage startup, you're moving so fast, the product is changing all the time, investing a lot of time in all these tutorial videos, they're just going to be irrelevant 2 days later. But we're a little bit more established now, sort of more stable of a business. And I think, first of all, there's more frameworks, more technologies, et cetera, we need to create guides for, but also the production polish needs to be higher. And we have more people, yourself included, participating. So how do we create a factory where we can crank out all this content in a way that's uniform and consistent and relatively well polished and that kind of thing? That's kind of the third big project, I think.
So what business did we land on again? I only remember Molly's Marathoners, which will be a membership and course community business.
We're gonna do a course, SaaS product, and a membership site. Molly's Marathoners is the membership site.
Yeah.
The SaaS product was, I don't think we actually named it.
We didn't name it, but it was like, oh, that was my like to-do list for families. Because one of the cool things about Etc is that you can have an account that is connected to multiple team members, i.e. family members. So we could showcase that with an family chore app. We need to give it a good name.
I think we had family factors was the
family factor
placeholder name, but
they're all going to be alliterations. Is that what it's called in English? Yeah,
maybe.
And then the course was
peak productivity. So that was just going to give us an opportunity to sort of troll all the productivity gurus out there.
Oh, I have to send you. We should almost reach out to him. It's like one of my all-time favorite. Like, I don't know if it was like TikTok or I don't think it was TikTok because it's so old. I think maybe it's just like a Twitter video. Anyway, this guy like does a productivity morning like routine video of him like as a dad. And it is the funniest thing ever. We're gonna put that in the show notes. But he basically is like, I begin my day with Shavasana, laying in bed, pretending to sleep longer than my wife. That is my rest. And then it's like, and then it just keeps going about like all the things he gets to practice when trying to like put clothes on the toddler. And but it's just like, it's so like purely like in the moment. I thought he was inspired, probably read something about, you know, like these productivity gurus and just had to.
Sure.
Yeah, because they're usually, you know, single men. And like their mornings are gonna be different than other people's morning. Like, you know, if you don't want to get up at 4, which some people claim they do. Anyway, so those are the 3 businesses. And it's kind of taken a little bit of inspiration from Tailwind, which have these templates that have like fake businesses, which showcases, I guess they have Next. All of theirs are Next, the React framework, and Tailwind that you can copy. But then what we want to do is have 3 businesses, fake businesses, and then we can do Framer, the Framer version, Framer plus Etc version, the WeWeb and Etc version, the Webflow, the Laravel, the React, whatever people can contribute with, but all the design assets will be there and kind of all of the features will be there so that we can fuel this content factory.
Exactly. And I think the other thing it does is sort of going back to project 2 is it allows other people to contribute. Like sort of the common thread here is we have a small team. How do we do more within the context of a small team? And we've had a lot of people with very framework specific expertise say, I want to create an outside of demo. Can I do that for you in next.js or whatever it is? And I think now we can say, yes, we have this hypothetical business. Here's the branding. This is what this project looks like. You just need to go build it, and we can get more people contributing in that way.
And then I think it also will become a great resource for people wanting to build their business, because then they can see like, oh, I'm more of a Molly's marathoner, and I know this technology, or I am enamored. Yes, by this technology. So, and I can see, oh, I can build the features I want with this technology, and then go and like do that. While it can be hard coming in, like, oh, I want to create a membership business. It's like there's so many possibilities, and also hard to know, like, can I build this with this framework? And then we can showcase, yes, you can have these features with this framework. It's cool. I like it.
I'm excited.
So I guess another well, do you want to talk more about it? Do you have like a 4th and 5th and 6th? Like
I don't. I mean, I think a lot of it is honestly not like we're doing too much new and too much groundbreaking. It's just spending more time on the stuff that already has been working. And like the acquisition channels for us are sort of the common ones for a bootstrap SaaS company. It's content, it's SEO, it's affiliates, it's referrals, it's some integration partnerships. We don't have like this magic pill we can pull out that is some crazy idea no one's ever thought of. We know where to reach our audience. We're sort of startup people ourselves, and we market to similar types of people. So it's more just sort of beating the drum more steadily and investing more time in marketing in general.
What do you call, like when you say marketing in general, what does that entail for you? Because yeah, people say marketing all the time, and I don't know if we all like talk about the same thing, because you have like branding, and then you have the kind of the other pieces. See, this is me not knowing that much about marketing, I guess.
So I think all of that is marketing. Brand, like everything you're thinking of is marketing, and it's all stuff we need to spend more time on, frankly. But I think when people hear marketing, what they usually think is lead gen, and that's certainly true. Like the objective of this is we're trying to turn up the volume and acquire customers more quickly, and certainly sort of upping lead gen is one of the ways to get there. But I do think that sometimes marketing might actually be the wrong word. Sometimes growth is a better way to look at what you're trying to do. Whether it's stuff like the onboarding and sign up flow improvements that I mentioned, whether it's stuff like proactively fighting churn, there's lots of other things you can do to get the objective that you're looking for, which is revenue growth. I do think in our case, like we've got some work to do in that regard, but I think we need to crank up the lead gen and the traffic to the site, and the number of free trials or that sign up per month, and that's going to be a big part of the focus.
So you kind of answered that. Yeah, my second planned question was like, what has been the main channels so far? And that is, so how do we do it? How are we? I remember looking at it, but like, how are we in terms of SEO? Are we doing good?
It's we have a weird story with SEO. So in short, Outseta is a all-in-one tech stack to run sort of a SaaS or membership type business. But what that means is it's a platform that's a billing system, a CRM, email marketing tools, a help desk, financial reports. It's a tech stack for a subscription business. But from an SEO perspective, the keywords that are most relevant to our business, it doesn't make sense for us to focus on them. If we tried to rank number one for CRM software or email marketing software or billing software, that would just be a fool's errand. It would be wasted effort, and we would never get anywhere. So we haven't really focused deliberately on a small set of target keywords in the way that most people that focus on SEO do. And that in and of itself is a bit of a missed opportunity. There are keywords this week we discussed. There are keywords that don't directly describe our product per se that we should probably be targeting. Things like authentication for a Framer website. Framer doesn't offer authentication. Outseta offers authentication that works well on a Framer website. If we can rank for those sorts of search terms, we can win business off those rankings. So there is an SEO play, but we haven't done a lot of that to date, in terms of deliberately targeting keywords. What we have done.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was thinking because one, I mean, I know that we have like membership site or membership features for Webflow or membership something Webflow, which obviously is trying to get people who search for how to create a membership site with Webflow. But then we could also kind of have, as you said, like authentication for Webflow, billing for Webflow. The only thing I'm wondering, if we created all of those, if those pages would be too similar and they would end up like being flagged as duplicate content, or like how, or if we just need to put all of those words in, like bake them into the Webflow plus etc. like landing page, or if that will be too
Yeah.
watered out. Like that would be interesting to know.
I think in short, I have sort of a abnormal perspective on this topic. Maybe I think a SEO consultant would tell you 100% you should, build landing pages for everything. You should have authentication for Webflow and email for Webflow and billing for Webflow and all these different pages, and just crank out these pages. And because there's a high number of them and they're all targeting different keywords, they're going to rank and send you relevant traffic. And that isn't necessarily wrong. Tons of businesses take that approach and it works. Something that maybe I overvalue is keeping Outseta and sort of the surface area that we have to manage and maintain small and simple. And I've always sort of steered away from like anything related to programmatic SEO or just building massive numbers of landing pages, because while these things might work, they exponentially increase the amount of real estate that you need to sort of oversee. And I would rather just have like a 3 or 5 page website that converts really simply and drive relevant traffic to it other ways. It's kind of a difference in approach. I don't know if one is more right or more wrong, but I know that I'm sort of biased towards that more simple approach. And I think part of that comes back to how we run the company too. We are this small bootstrapping team. If I had $100 million in funding and I had an SEO agency overseeing all these landing pages, I would probably go out and take a strategy more like that. But it's another.
I'll code them.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like there's other, I'm going to make all the SEO consultants out there puke, but there's other things that I just don't love. Like everyone will tell you should have competitor comparison pages. And again, they're right. And I even think that is a better tactic, because people do search for brand name competitor, brand name alternative. But every competitor comparison page that I see is full of incorrect information, and it's just kind of this half-assed page, and it just upsets me.
I feel like those are more like hard to maintain, because you have to go out and like check your competitor all the time to see if your like feature comparison table is correct, while creating kind of something like authentication for X framework and membership site for X framework could be easily kind of created if you had composable, I think they call it composable content now, like where you have like different content pieces and you can mix them together. Because the copy, or like the premise for email with Webflow is the same as email for Framer. Like it would be the same thing. It would just be switching out like the thing it's connected to. So that is possible to programmatically create without having like glaring errors or just like super bland, boring pages. Because I think that's the other aspect, and especially now with AI, like people are going to crank out so many pages. It's not even like, it's just there's going to be too many pages.
This is actually a marketing experiment I've been thinking about. So this indie hacker, his name's Danny Postma. He has this huge following on social, and he published something earlier this year that basically said everybody thinks to be a successful indie hacker, you need to have a big social audience. You don't. Here's how to do it if you don't have an audience. And the post basically outlines sort of finding keywords that have very little competition but high relevance, and creating a whole bunch of content sort of programmatically around related keywords. And he sort of proves with one of his products that you can build up social or organic traffic very, very quickly using this approach. There's no way in hell I'm going to do that on Outseta's website, but I have a side project's website. And I want to take his exact methodology and do it on the side project, and then sort of have that be one of the experiments that I can report back on and say, this is something that I don't want to do, but I'm going to try it over here and see if it actually works. And if it works, what can we learn from this? What can we borrow and apply to our business?
Yeah, because you could do the same approach, but be more thoughtful about the content. that you create for those
Yeah.
pages, like finding these keywords, and that's something we've never talked about, but I've been thinking about this week because we want to sell that in our other business. Ula and I have the like focusing on becoming or offering DevRel services, and what we've done so far has been getting sponsorships to build pruner follows, and we really enjoyed that. We're trying to expand on that, and in addition, so that would we would call that like real world apps, or like you can sponsor a real world app. But then the other thing that is like closely related is what somebody coined content products, I guess. And one of the most well-known in developer circles are JWT.io, which is owned by Auth0, which explains how JSON Web Tokens work. And we even link to them from our documentation because it's a great resource, right? So I've been thinking about, and we haven't talked about this before at all, but like, is there any like content products we could build potentially? Maybe not this fall, because I would love to do more of these. Any content products we could build for Outseta. And the only thing that I came up with so far is like a membership pricing calculator or something, like, how should you price your memberships, and like have copy around that, and then you can like tweak things, and you could get like different, and this is what I can't say in English, tiers. I always want to see tires, and that's not correct, tiers. But that was like my best idea when I was just like thinking about it. But I am sure there are things our audience would like to see as like JWT, which is like a dev focused one. But for our audience, is there like a content product we could make that could be a spearhead for us?
Sure, absolutely.
But I don't know if you have any ideas on the top of your head.
The one that I've always thought about is so we have payment, like people know Stripe payment links. Outseta offers payment links to. It wouldn't so much be a content product; it would be more a free tool. But if we could just have a website where you can come connect to Stripe, create a payment link, and it's got Outseta branding on it and whatnot, that could be sort of a free entry-level tool that I think a lot of people would use.
To create, instead of creating them in Stripe, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
we wouldn't charge for it, and Stripe charges you for it.
I see. Interesting. Because then we do that direct integration with Stripe. I like it.
So yeah, it's one of those things I think it's what can we do with a relatively small engineering lift.
Yeah, because that's another, like, so content products is one name that I heard like very recently. Another one is engineering as marketing, where you take like sawdust from engineering and create something out of that, and then you have side projects as marketing. So I'm trying to like figure out what term to use and like how to explain this as a service, because some of the, especially if it's like engineering sawdust, like it has to come from it, or not has to, but it's because somebody did something in engineering. But if you want to outsource it, I'm thinking content products or like side project marketing could be interesting. Because we interviewed Marie from Llama Life, and her fidget spinner was like her top acquisitions channel for like a long time. And it's just like fidgetspinner.com, I think, and you can spin a fidget spinner in the web browser. And that's been like a huge way for her. Like for a while, that was like one of her larger acquisition channels because it went viral. But that's the hard thing about these kind of projects. Like, it's really hard to promise that things will go viral or will like get a massive traffic. It's riskier that way. Like it's hard to promise. But yeah.
You never know unless you try. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, but then I guess it's easier to use internal. So this is what I'm thinking about then. If we're going to try to sell it as a service, like how to position it and how to price it. And if people are willing to do these kinds of bets outside of their business, when they actually have to pay, like they have to make a purchasing decision. It's not just engineering playing a little bit on their off time.
Yeah. The thing that's tough to me about this topic in general is I think a lot of people, I was reading on Twitter earlier today, a founder of a company called Pally, and he was saying like our growth has come from free tools. You should build free tools. Here's the free tools that we built. And you look at his product, and the free tools that he created are a perfect sort of natural step towards using his paid product. And I think if you have a product and can identify an opportunity like that, fantastic. But some products tend to lend themselves to that better than others. And I have seen a lot of founders like become obsessed with this idea of engineering is marketing, or we need to create free tools. And there just isn't sort of a tool that really fits with their product. So I guess don't force it is the point.
And that is why also JWT.io works so well.
Perfect.
Because it's
Yeah.
like everybody who wants to do anything with authentication from as a developer or even as a non-developer, you got to understand a little bit about this. And I think that was the site that I ended up on when I first researched the subject, like I don't know when, but like it's been there for in my kind of developer life for a long time. And it doesn't feel like marketing because it's very educational, and it doesn't push Auth0 that much. I mean, it pushes so little that every authentication service I see use that at their source, like even direct competitors of Auth0.
Oh, trust me, in year one of Outseta, we started having more technical tickets, and very quickly I got into a conversation with Dave, our other co-founder, who is an engineer, about what's actually happening from a code perspective when somebody authenticates. And he said, oh, there's a JWT access token passed. And for me, that was just like, what the heck is that? And he sent me a link, and I read it, and I got it more than I did before. So
yeah. I think though, like I would love to make something similar, but for no coders, like authentication for no coders that in essence ends up explaining JWTs and other mechanisms, but more visually and more for somebody that's not coming from a technical background. Because Auth0 is very much like that site and like that kind of marketing is very much towards developers because it has to be implemented by a developer, while no coders who use tools like ours, like they have a different I don't know, different background.
They don't get it.
I guess
they don't get it.
I mean, no, but they don't get that kind of a explanation, which is like perfect. Like I loved it because it was short to the point. I was like, okay, yes, I get it. But then there's like a different way of a more visual way of explaining it that I think could be very beneficial to people who do enjoy tools like Framer and Webflow and those kinds of tools, because I assume they are visual thinkers since they love these tools. While I'm like, I don't want to go and drag on sliders. I just want to like write it in code and get it be done. So yeah,
there's such an opportunity to do that for everything authentication related in the no code space, but especially single sign-on too. The conversations we have with people around single sign-on, people have no idea what it is, how it operates. They just get it in their head that they need single sign-on, and if single sign-on is present, it's going to allow them to log into every product out there that they could ever want to log into, and very quickly, even if they have a project that our single sign-on features can support and support well, they just don't understand how the different pieces are connected. So there's a huge educational play there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Could start with a blog post though, and not a content product, even though that would be so much more fun for somebody who just wants to. No, I'm just kidding. I think that's it though. I hope the listener, you dear listener, has enjoyed listening to our plans. If you have any inputs or comments, DM me on Twitter. My DMs are always open unless X closes them without telling you. But I opened them again, so they should be open. Nice. So feel free to DM me or Geoff, I guess, if you have any input. And I guess that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me sub in. This was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. And then next time Benedict has a vacation, we can talk about how it went.
All right, let's do it. Put it on the
Yeah.
books.
Yes, let's leave it on books. So we usually end with a see you around the interwebs. Bye-bye.
See ya.
And then Benedict usually presses this button. Let me see if I can do it. I just have to do my window. End.